Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Welcome to Satsang. It's so beautiful to be able to be joining you all again. We have now started on the sacred day of Vijayadashmi. We started our sacred Ganga Arti again here at Parmarth Niketan. It's been running, of course, every day, but running during this COVID pandemic with just 2 or 3 of our beautiful Rishikumars going to the banks of Ganga and doing her Arti, at least so that the Arti happens. But on the sacred day of Vijayadashmi, we began the Arti in its Vishal Roop, in the big, beautiful way that Puja Swamiji has created the sacred Arti here. So it's now an Arti that we all go to. It's something that is live. All of you should be sure to tune in live and watch it. If you are somewhere in the world where 5:45 in the evening India time is the middle of your night or just a little too early in the morning for you to be up, no problem. It stays there. You can watch it anytime. But because Arti now begins at that time again, we've shifted our time of satsang. Instead of taking place right at sunset at 5 or 5:15, our sacred satsang now is going back to taking place right after the sacred Ganga Arti. So it's to be joining you all again for satsang. The word satsang literally means in the presence of truth. It's not the truth as in today it is Saturday the 7th of November and it's about 7 p.m. in the evening. Because that's a truth that is only true right here in this intersection of space and time. It's true only for us on India time. It's not true even in this moment for anyone anywhere else in the world. But even right here, even for us, it's not going to be true in an hour. In an hour it'll be 8 o'clock. Tomorrow it'll be the 8th, it'll be Sunday. So the truth that we speak about when we speak about the presence of truth in satsang is an eternal truth. A truth that isn't an intersection of space and time, that's not depending on where you're sitting in the world, what time zone you're in, what weather you're experiencing, what color your skin may be, what your religion may be, what your education may be. But it's a truth that is the truth of who we are. That's the truth that satsang refers to. So in this sacred and such a beautiful opportunity to be together in satsang, and again, of course, because of the pandemic, because of the regulations, we're together in spirit, not physically. I don't, unfortunately, have the beautiful joy of all of you here in the garden in front of me like we did before this pandemic. But we're together in spirit, together in that truth, even if we are thousands of miles away from each other, even if you're sitting in your room, in your home, in your office, in any city of the world. We're together. We're together in truth. And that's the great, beautiful gift of satsang. And it's something that in our spiritual tradition is considered one of the most beautiful ways of awakening. We are told in the scriptures, by the saints, by the sages, about the importance of satsang. Being in the presence, in the association of truth. And so it's such a great joy and a great blessing for me to be able to have this. And of course, COVID has given us a whole new way of being together. So I'm so glad that we're starting again, and I'm especially so glad that the reason for this time change is that we've now started our sacred arti again. Yes.
The first question is, my situation is compelling me to become a sannyasi. What can I do? Lead me.
Well, it depends what that situation is. Sannyas, a path of renunciation, a monastic life, is not something that we go into because we are running away from something. Sannyas is not an escape. It's not, I'm fed up with the world, I'm fed up with my job, I'm fed up with my family, cello, I'm going to become a sannyasi. It's not an escape. Sannyas, and this is true whether we are looking actually at sannyas as in the Hindu renunciation, the renunciation within Sanatana Dharma, but it's also true when we're looking at a monastic life in any of our religious traditions. So this isn't true just about those we call sannyasis. It's true about those we call monks and nuns in the Buddhist tradition, in the Christian tradition, any tradition in the world that has a system of monasticism, of renunciation. It's an active moving to. It's a decision that says, all avenues are open to me. All possibilities are available. But I've seen it. Either personally in my life, I've experienced it, or I've seen it through family, through friends, through my society. And I've realized, for my life, for my dharma, I don't want to walk the path of a householder, of a husband, wife, mother, father, job holder, wage earner, professional, entrepreneur, whatever it may be. I want to walk the path of a pure renunciation of all of that so that I can be focused only on God, only on the divine. And again, it doesn't mean, though, renouncing the world. That's a really important distinction, is sannyas is not a renunciation of the world. It's a renunciation of the relationships, the attachment, the focus, the intention with which most people move through the world, which is about their family members, about their jobs, about their bank accounts, about their status in society, whatever it may be. Many sannyasis are still in the world, And by the way, as just an aside, not being in the world doesn't mean the world isn't in you. You can go and sit in a cave. You can sit on a mountaintop. But that doesn't remove the world from your mind. It doesn't remove the world from your thoughts. Simply putting your body in a cave or your body on the top of a mountain is not going to make your thoughts or your mind stop being preoccupied with greed, lust, ego, the workings of the world. So it's much more of a decision of how to focus my mind and my thoughts, my attention, my intention, my priorities, my precious waking hours. And those of us who take this decision, it's a decision of an active moving toward, not a moving away from. So if the situation of your life you feel is compelling you to it, I would ask you what you mean. Because the only situation that compels us to sannyas is an inner situation. An outer situation may frustrate us, may make us fed up, may anger us. That just means maybe you need a few days away or a few weeks or a nice retreat. It doesn't mean go off and become a monk or a nun. The only situation that compels you towards sannyas is an inner situation that says, I make a conscious decision to focus my mind, my life, my energy, my work, my thoughts, my time in service of God. And of course in service of the creation through service of God. But rather than splitting up my time and attention amongst a family, amongst a career, I want to be fully 100% only dedicated, only devoted to the spiritual practice. I want only to consider the whole world my family, rather than 2 or 3 members under a roof. That's the situation that would compel you toward taking sannyas.
What is it that keeps us from letting go of a toxic relationship? It can feel like it is better to have it rather than have nothing.
Yeah, this is a very difficult and deep situation. Letting go of toxic relationships. Many of us hold on to things that are bad for us because they seem better than nothing. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you're really hungry? Maybe you skipped a meal or 2 meals, and you come home, or wherever you may be, you see what the food options are. And there's nothing that's healthy. There's only junk food. And you know that by the time you have a chance to get something healthy or make something healthy, maybe it's going to be another 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour. And the mind, now obviously we are not on the verge or in danger of dying of starvation. Nonetheless, what does the mind do? Triggered by the chemical reaction from our stomachs into our brains that say hunger, 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 low blood sugar. We're going to eat junk. We'll buy a candy bar from a vending machine or a bag of chips from a vending machine or whatever there may be right in front of you. knowing, number one, it's not good for me. Number two, it's only going to make me feel miserable later. Number three, it's not actually giving me what I need. The signals in my brain that say eat food are there because I'm needing certain nutrients. This is not going to give it to me. Chocolate bar, the bag of chips, we know. It's not going to do anything other than temporarily occupy space in our stomach. But how many of us do it? How many, in moments of being hungry, you just eat whatever is there? That's something that most people do. It tends not to have very long-term ramifications. They tend to be very short. You end up with a little bit of a stomachache later. If you do it too much, you end up with the consequences of bad eating habits. But we do the same thing in relationships. We're craving something. We're craving companionship, connection, camaraderie, somebody to be there, somebody to talk to, somebody to take our meals with, somebody to go to sleep with, somebody to wake up with. We crave that. And we crave it so much that in this fear that I'm not going to find something healthy, we take the relationship equivalent of junk food. Literally, the junk food is toxic to our bodies, and the relationship is toxic. In some cases to the bodies as well, where there's violence. But it's also toxic to our emotional state, to our psychological state, to our spiritual state. It's toxic to our physical state even as well, because if we're generating stress, and that stress is harming our bodies. But we do it because we think, in the same way that when we're hungry, we think, oh my God, I will die before my sabji dal roti is made. I will die before a salad is made. I will die before some proper vegetables are made. Cello, I have to eat a chocolate bar. In the same way, we think, maybe there's nothing better. Maybe I won't find anything else. What if I'm all alone? But this stems from a belief that you don't deserve love, that you don't deserve tenderness and caring and connection. Because when we know we deserve it, we know we will find it. We know it is out there. Finding someone who will care for you, who will love you, who will listen to you, who will be there with you in a way that is not toxic, in a way that is healthy. Finding that person is something that when you know you deserve it, you know will happen. I'm not talking about finding somebody who fulfills a 50-item checklist that you've been making since you were 11 about your dream husband or dream wife, and here's what he's going to look like, and here's how tall he's going to be, and here's what his career is going to be, and here's what his favorite flavor of ice cream is going to be, and he's going to be a songwriter and a poet, and he'll make me, a new poem every day. I don't mean those lists. But I mean the presence of someone who's going to love you, who's going to care about you, who's going to appreciate you, who's going to support you, who's going to be tender and compassionate with you rather than toxic. If your list is kept to the most basic, the most fundamental, it's much more easy to find that person. And of course, I don't mean give up your hopes of finding someone who fills all of those items. But don't stay in a toxic relationship that's harming you because you think you're not going to find something better. No. Know that you deserve. You deserve love. You deserve caring. You deserve tenderness. You deserve compassion. And it is there for you. Do not keep yourself in a toxic relationship because you think, if I leave this, will I ever find someone again? You will. And again, it may not be someone who fulfills all of your, fantasy Christmas list since you were young. But it will absolutely be someone with whom you can make it work. Someone who's healthy, not toxic. Someone who gives caring and tenderness and compassion and support rather than toxicity. But you need to know you deserve it. Because if you don't, you're going to stay in the toxic relationship. So if you find yourself in one of those, let your daily mantra be, I deserve love, caring, tenderness, compassion, and it is there for me. I deserve it, and it is there. So I don't need to have this toxicity. It's like right over here, maybe just beyond my vision, but I know it's there, is the organic soup and salad bar. I don't need to eat this junk because I know this is there, even if I can't see it. I know it's there. Give yourself the gift of what you really deserve, which is to be loved and to be cared for. And you can be and you will be, but you have to take that leap. You have to walk out of where you are in order to create space for something new.
Is it actually possible for someone who has predominantly Tamasic qualities to become Sattvik?
Of course. The gunas, the natures of tamas, that which is sloth-like, that which is dark. Not dark in badness, but just dark compared to light. That which tends to be, excuse me, that which tends to be, with regard if it's food and they're talking about tamasic, it's going to be that which is undigestible, even rancid or putrid. With people, it's much more qualities of the opposite of that which is light or that which is active. So it's going to be laziness. It's going to be cutting corners. It's going to be not holding up your end of the deal. It's going to be irresponsibility. It's going to be lying. It's going to be all of those kinds of things. But absolutely, we can change. To move from something that's tamasic to something that's sattvic. Sattvic is that which is balanced, light, of the nature of sattva, bringing goodness, bringing balance, bringing light. As a person, it's actually much easier. Food it's much harder. You can't very easily take food that has a nature of tamas and give it the nature of being sattvic. But as a person, you can. This is where sadhana is so important. And by the way, the food plays an important role. That which we eat is that which we become. And so if you take in food that is tamasic, and you can go online, I don't want to take all the time now, but you can go online and see which foods are tamasic. It's meat, it's things that are rotten, things that are spoiled, things that are, there's a whole list though, going through all of the different items that we eat of whether they are rajasic or sattvik or tamasic. Pull up a list. It's what Google is great for. If you feel that you've got tamasic qualities, first and easiest, simplest thing to do, cut tamasic food out of your diet. Shift to a sattvic diet. Many people in the Indian spiritual world know that, for example, in most ashrams or meditation centers, you won't find garlic and onions. And a lot of people from abroad ask me about this because they're actually really good for your health. All over the world, doctors are saying, eat onions, eat garlic. They're great for your health, good for your heart, good for your cholesterol, good for so much. The reason that in a lot of ashrams or meditation centers or spiritual retreats that we don't eat them is because it's said that garlic is rajasic. Garlic creates passion and excitement. And that onions are tamasic. That onions create lethargy. Now, this is on a very, very, very subtle energetic level. But it's enough that in ashrams and meditation centers and people who are doing a lot of sadhana, where you really notice subtle vibrational fluctuations, especially starting out on a path of sadhana, you need all the help you can get. And so this is where diets are kept very, very simple, very sattvic. Those of you who come here know the food is exquisite, but it's very simple. Because it's that which is easily digestible, that which is not going to create either passion or lethargy. So the first and easiest thing to do is go online, get yourself a list of the foods, cut out tamasic food. Second thing is, cut out tamasic ways of thinking. So instead of thinking about that which is thwarting you or stopping you, that which is surely never going to work, cut out those ways of thinking. Now, the immediate effect is to move into rajas. So if you say to move from I can't do it to yeah, I can do it, I'm going to do it. Well, that's shifted into rajas, which is more fire and passion. Sattvic tendencies are actually where we want to go. And so first change your food, then change your way of thinking. And as you change your way of thinking, it's much more that which is in equanimity, that which is in balance. So it's neither I hate it or gotta have it, gonna get it, going. It's much more of a balance. Doesn't mean you can't be excited and joyful and blissful, but it's in a much more stable sort of way, rather than the ups and downs of great passion and waves that go up and waves that go down, which is more of the rajasic way, going up and down. So sattva's balance. So first in what you eat, what you think, find balance in how you live. Look at your ways of being. And every day, inculcate one new sattvic practice into your life. Whether it's what time you get up in the morning, whether it's the music you listen to, whether it's the news that you watch, whether it's the relationships that you have, whether it's how you spend your lunch break, whether it's how you spend your evening, just inculcate a new practice every day. It can be something very, very small. It can be simply that when I am walking to work or walking from the parking lot into my office, instead of thinking I'm going to use that time to make those urgent phone calls I have to make, that I'm going to use that time and chant a mantra. That I'm just going to become aware of the way that my feet feel as they walk on the pavement or walk on the carpet or wherever I'm walking. But I'm just going to bring some awareness into it. Maybe instead of spending lunch standing in a line for 20 minutes to finally get to the front, get my sandwich, rush back, do my social media while I eat a sandwich. Maybe instead I'll plan in advance, bring something from home, and sit in the sunshine on a park bench instead. Very simple little things. See how you can bring practices that bring balance, that bring light, that bring peace into your life. And in the same way that darkness can't exist with light, the more sattvic tendencies you bring in, the more automatically the tamasic tendencies will go out. If we're sitting in a dark room, instead of figuring out, oh my God, what do we do about this darkness? We simply figure out, how do we find a light switch? How do we light a candle? How many candles can we light? So in the same way, just bring in a new sattvic practice every day. Change something about your diet every day. Change something about your music. Change something about what you do. Slowly, 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 what time you sleep, what time you wake up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And it'll happen. The nature of our self is something very beautiful that we absolutely can change. And that's what our practices of mindfulness, of awareness, of consciousness, of conscious choosing, that's what they give us the possibility for. Have a beautiful rest of your evening or a beautiful morning wherever you may be in the world. We'll now be back on our regular satsang and meditation time with Mondays and Fridays as meditation, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as satsang. And if you have questions, all of the questions that our dear Shivani is reading come from questions that people have put in the comments online. So if you have questions, just put them in the comments and our wonderful Seva team will get them and compile them and bring them to her, and she'll ask them on your behalf in satsang.